Hey YouTube, welcome back to the Guitar Slinger Hockey channel. I am back at you today to do a update review on the lovely skates that we're looking at here. If you saw my previous video, I compared these to the Bauer Vapor Hyperlight, but I didn't really go into these skates very much because at the time I only had like 1 or 2 hours, and that's just not enough to give you a full review. But I think I'm in a position now to give you a review to tell you whether or not this might be a skate worth checking out. So I now have many hours under my belt, many games on these skates, and definitely have a feel for whether what the pros and the cons are. And again, with every piece of equipment, there are pros and there are cons. These are no different. Having worn all of the modern day skates in both the retail and the custom world, I do have to say just flat out that I believe these are the best skates that I've ever worn between custom and retail, and they're the best balance of comfort and performance that I've used before. I've had uncomfortable skates that have performed well, and I've had comfortable skates that have not performed well. So from a standpoint of that, I'm very impressed with these. I do have to say I was not initially impressed with how they looked. I'm a retired referee now and not a big fan of flashy equipment. And having these giant stripes of red on here was not super interesting to me. It would have been cooler to have them blacked out. So, that was just a visual thing. But they were a little loud, and they probably are still considered to be a little bit loud looking. In fact, my understanding is that they didn't really sell that well initially, but they are selling pretty well now, and they seem to be a little bit more challenging to get a hold of in the common sizes, like the 7 to 9 sizes. But what I've also noticed that the prices have been pretty reasonable on these skates. I've found a fair amount of them that are brand new for fairly low prices. So I ended up getting my pair of skates brand new on Sideline Swap for $649. And I know that's Sideline Swap, but I do also have another buddy who went to just a local pro shop and got his for like $700 brand new. So I think if you're interested in these skates, the normal like $1,000 price tag US, I don't think I think you can find them for cheaper than that now. But I also know they don't seem to be planning any releases of FT5 Pro skates or anything like that, just because they just recently released the AS5 Pro skates, which I will do another video on. So take a peek around if you're interested. The prices have definitely dropped a bit for some reason. So anyways, let's get into the boot here. So comfort and performance are just as good as it gets with regard to that balance, I think. So kind of talking about the things that I really like about the boot. So the boot is the right amount of stiffness. It is basically when you get it out of the box, it's like a little too stiff, but it softens up to the right level of stiffness for like no matter what type of player you are. So I think that it's stiff through the bottom of the foot, and then it kind of gets softer up through the upper eyelets. It's not quite as soft as the ribcore boot is, but it is still stiff. And it enables you to really get over on your knees when get your knees over your toes. And you don't have to worry about having some lace bite issues on the upper ankle like I've had with previous generations of Super Tacs. So I thought that was pretty cool. They knocked it out of the park with the toe caps this year. They really did. They're the most comfortable toe caps I've ever tried on before. There is a very thin foam lining on the inside and the outside of each toe cap. And by inside and outside, what I mean is that the inside seam where the toe cap attaches to the boot, there's actually foam lining that seam on the inside of the boot on your big toe and your pinky toe, which makes it incredibly comfortable. What I will say about that, you need to break that part in because it feels a little weird to most people when they try the skate on for the first time. I have a friend who has tried mine on that are broken in and the other ones that are in the store, liked mine, didn't like the ones that are in the store. So that's something that you should know. That you may be that person who tries them on, doesn't like it, but just realize that it does break in and it just like hugs your foot in foam. It's amazing. And that is definitely something that will protect you from injuries to your big toe joint and your pinky toe joints, things like that. Whereas Bauer is not so awesome about that. They did improve that a little bit on the mock skates, which I will mention that too in my other video that I'm going to do. But anyways, toe cap on this skate is amazing. I also think that they truly CCM truly did a really good job at creating foot volume sizes that fit many more people. The fact that I now can fit in a retail skate with no ankle bone pain or anything else is bonkers to me. That's never been the case, and so these skates, the volume on them is significantly higher than, just for reference, I will tell you this. These are a size 8 wide, and CCM calls it wide, but not only is it wide, but it's high volume, like heel depth, instep height, that sort of thing. These are definitely higher volume than the Bauer Fit 3 Hyperlight, and they are significantly higher volume and wider than a AS3 Pro Super Tack and an 8 Double E. So that would be the wide variant. Blown away by that. So for me, it fits amazing. But obviously for you, if you're a regular and tapered fit, get on with your bad self. But the foot shape of having a wide forefoot and a tapered heel, no matter if you're the tapered, regular, or wide fit, this boot design is probably a better suited one for you. But if you have high volume, wide foot, high instep, and you want to go with a wide on this, I think you're really going to love it. Additionally, it has, they did a really good job with the liner on the skate. It's definitely thicker foam than what is in the FT2 jet speed. My wife actually uses the FT2s and she loves them, but there's definitely increased amount of foam padding in the FT4 Pros, so that's a good thing. Really makes it a comfortable, awesome heel lock. They heat mold really well. I think they're super comfortable with that. FT2 was a fantastic boot too, but I think they just kicked it up a notch in comfort in the FT4 Pros. The tongue, I would say the tongue is quite nice from a standpoint of you don't have to worry about it bugging you. You can wear your shin pads on top of the tongue. You can wear your shin pads underneath the tongue and do the flop, and you don't have any risk of any weird pains or anything like that. So I think I think it enables more people to, whatever your preferences are for shin pads, this is more, it caters to that. Whereas the Bauer Vapor Hyperlight, that tongue was really more designed for somebody who uses the shin pads on top of the tongue. So that's just a minor nuance, but I think it's cool. So yeah, I think that those, oh, and also the responsiveness and how connected you feel on the ice. I've said this before in previous videos. You really cannot beat that. Beat the one-piece boot design. It is just more responsive. I will say there might be a slight argument for the two-piece boots like that Bauer make, with regard to like flexibility, and that is something that you might consider. So you do get more responsiveness on this boot because it's one piece, but the Bauer Ultrasonic, or I guess the Mach now, and the Hyperlight, you probably do get a little bit more flexibility. Whether or not that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. It's up to you. But it is just a difference. But I know that I'm really appreciating the responsiveness of the one-piece boots. Okay, so let's talk about the cons of this skate. This skate will take you forever to break in. So I will say this probably took me a solid month of skating, I don't know, like between 2 and 4 times a week to really break them in, and I had to heat mold the skates a few times. They are not comfortable to break in. You will enjoy and endure pain. That is everybody that I know that has these skates. It's the same deal. Once you get them broken in, you will love them. But if you're the type of person that sticks your foot into these boots, skates once, and then sticks your foot into a Bauer boot and then skates once, Bauer's going to win every single time with the initial out of the box comfort. But from a standpoint of longevity and then overall comfort, the CCMs will win. You just got to play the waiting game and get some ice time with these, possibly multiple bakes. And so that was not ideal because I definitely sucked at skating while I was breaking these in and dealt with, hot spots and all over the place in the skates. The most common hot spots for that I've noticed on myself and talking to other people are the outside of the foot, the kind of like the middle part of your foot. Also, the ankle bones, high ankle, those three areas have been kind of the notable ones. All of that stuff goes away as you break it in and as you heat mold more than once if necessary. So just keep that in mind. And so basically, it comes down to, are you a patient person or are you an instant gratification person? And I feel like if you understand what these skates are bringing to the table um, over Bauer, then these are worth waiting for. If you're the kind of person that's been with Bauer skates for a lot of years, you're gonna have a hard time getting used to these boots. But you can. You just gotta you just gotta be patient and give them about a month of ice time, which is significantly more than you would have to do with a Bauer skate. So, the next thing I will point out to you is the actual pitch of the boot. If you're somebody who buys a pair of skates, sharpens the steel, and goes to play hockey, you're going to struggle with these skates. In fact, you're going to struggle with all models of CCM. So, first of all, if you don't profile your skates, you need to, and it's because you just don't know what it is. That's totally cool. I recommend you go watch my other video on whether or not you should profile your steel. And the other thing is too, if you're the kind of person who just doesn't think about that, or and you're just somebody who just prefers not profiling your steel, you're going to struggle a bit with these skates. You absolutely need to profile all CCM skates, and the reason is CCM boots, no matter which model you want to choose, are a more neutral standing boot than either of the Bauer offerings. And I noticed this coming from the Hyperlight to these. I struggled mightily with my profile and specifically the pitch of the boot. To give you an example, the way we talk about forward pitch in boots is in degrees. So maybe people do a half a degree, 3/4 of a degree, a full degree, inch and a quarter, or 1 1/4 degree. So it's like that is kind of how they're spoken about. And with a Bauer skate, either the ultrasonic or the hyperlate, I'm a big fan of doing a half of a degree with my CAG 1 profile. And when I put that on these boots, I was falling backwards, falling down, catching edges. It was not working. I then changed my profile to go with a single 9-foot radius and held that same half a degree, and the agility increased significantly. However, I still was falling down. I couldn't figure it out. And it actually took me going a full degree on a forward pitch on these boots before it felt exactly the same as my Bauer Hyperlights with a half a degree. So a half a degree in Bauer is the same as a full degree in either or any of these CCM models of skates. So you really got to remember that when you get into the CCM skates. They are not as aggressive of a boot as they used to be, in my opinion. So that's, I think that, and I really want to stress this whole pitch thing because I really think that if you go out of your way to go pick up a pair of these or any other CCM skate and you don't pay attention to the pitch, I don't think you're going to like these skates. You really need to do a little bit of homework on these and make sure that you got that dialed in. If you feel like you're falling backwards, it is absolutely the pitch of the steel as a result of a neutral standing boot. So that took me a while to get that kind of stuff dialed in, but I've settled on a 9 foot radius profile with a full degree forward pitch, and that makes it feel exactly the same as my CAG one with a half a degree on my Bauer Vapor Hyper lights. So do with that information what you will. So really, when it comes down to it, those are the two things that really were kind of the cons of these boots. They were really hard to break in. It took a long time to do it, and it took more bakes than normal that I would normally do on a Bauer or a Bauer boot. And then the other thing was like really trying to figure out the pitch situation. That was also challenging and required a number of different times profiling and pitching the boot, which was lame. So, anyways, though, the boots themselves amazing. That was all worth going through it because the skates are like slippers now. So I'm gonna get into a couple of different images here, just give you a little walk around. Okay, so here is probably the most distinctive image of these skates, in my opinion. So, you can comment what you think about these skates if you like them, if you don't. I don't know. They're again when I first saw these, I'm like, ugh, this is going to be hard to ref games with these. It's like the equivalent of wearing a red hockey helmet while I'm refing games. I will say this: the color has grown on me. I do like them, but it's just the color of them. I know you can do some pretty sweet things if you go custom with regard to the color. If you haven't seen Austin Matthews skates, he's basically got a pair of these with blue and silver, and then he has toe caps off of the AS3 Pro skate, which is kind of interesting. But I digress. What I also mentioned about this image too, the tendon guards there. Um, they, for whatever reason, decided not to adopt the flexible tendon guards that you see on the CCM Ribcore 100K Pros, and they've also put those on the new AS5 Pro Super Tack skates. And I think that having a flexible tendon guard is a benefit. Having skated in the ultrasonic before, that was a really neat feature that those skates had. It felt like I really got a good range of motion, but still maintained the support. But, they didn't put it on there. Whatever. Okay, so this is the last image I'm going to show you here. One of the things that I noticed is that CCM does not seem to be including the Ortho Move insoles anymore. Those are the yellow ones with the little rubber arch support things. That doesn't break my heart because those insoles kind of sucked. They weren't very comfortable to me, which I know is irrelevant because I'm just one person, but I can see why they're just tossing in these low-end foam ones here. I will say that I have learned to appreciate a very low profile insole, even though I have really high arches and, kind of have had foot issues in the past. For whatever reason, having a super low profile insole, like the one that's in the boot there, it has actually proven to be a big pro for me. So it may sound weird, but if you're somebody who has high arches and you're still not that comfortable in the skates, and you might try those because I'm actually, I've been a user of Superfeet for a long time, and the ones that I'm using now are quite a bit more comfortable than the Superfeet are, and the Superfeet do take a fair amount of room out of your boot. But they do also help kind of get you on the balls of your feet a little bit more, which may help with the pitch of the boot. But I'm going to recommend to all of you that you just start out easy with the insoles that come with these boots and just see how you like it. I'm actually using something by Elite Hockey. It's just a crappy yellow insole, but there's something about the design of it that really makes it work with my foot. So, whatever. That's kind of a personal one, but that's what CCM is starting to do. Just a low quality foam insole. And regarding the padding, hopefully you can see it okay, but this is a significantly thicker donut foam type padding that CCM has started to use. And this is really nice and something I've appreciated coming from my custom Ribcore 80Ks. The Ribcore 80Ks had giant pillow type spongy foam. However, and it was comfortable. However, even after heat molding, it doesn't really hold the shape of your ankle bones. This type of foam does, in fact, hold the shape of your ankle bone and create a pocket for it. And so I definitely appreciate that because that enables a better wrap and lock of the heel than the rib cores did. And I think that would be one of the things that I would have had them redo if I ever got another pair of rib cores, is I would ensure that they put this type of foam or the type of foam that's in the AS5 Pros in the boot. But this is really good. It's a little nicer than the FT4 Pro. Not a whole lot of difference on the high ankle rubber pads there. Those are pretty much the same. They still don't really do anything, but whatever, they're there. But yeah, that's pretty much what I'll say about the lining. Okay, well, that's about it. I think I've said everything I need to say about these skates. I give them 2 thumbs up. I'm really happy with them. I would definitely recommend giving them a shot as long as you keep in mind the cons that I discussed in the video. And if you have any more questions, I will do my best I can to answer them. But go get yourself a pair, see if you can find them on sale somewhere, sideline swap or whatever. And I think you'll be really happy with them. So, other than that, peace out.